Greetings, everybody. This is Dr. Jonathan Cox, sociologist and race scholar, here with another mini lecture on all things race related. Now, in this mini lecture, I'm going to talk to you about harassment of Black people. Now, I was recently made aware of a situation that involves one of my friends from college, a guy named Kinsley, a Black man, and his family, who has been experiencing harassment from their neighbor for years. Now, this neighbor has called the police and pressed charges for trespassing multiple times. The latest because Kinsley was, just in his yard doing yard work for his own house. Right now, thankfully, due to the spurious nature of all these continued charges, they've all been dropped. Right, none of them have stuck. But at the same time, this situation has still meant that Kinsley and his family has had to, deal with harassment and spend thousands of dollars on legal fees in response to this. Right, that doesn't even account for the fact that they can't just simply live and exist in their own home, in their own space, without this intrusive problem happening. Check out this clip that Kinsley recently posted on social media. It shows their neighbor setting up a camera to record into Kinsley's yard, where coincidentally their 5-year-old daughter was spending time in the hot tub. Yet when Kinsley called the police, nothing was done.
Look at this guy. Look at him. Oh no, he turned the camera again. Look at that. Even more.
Now this is yet another example of the harassment that Black people experience when white people call the police on them without cause. Now, this particular type of racialized harassment, Black people having the police called on them for benign behaviors, can also be seen as a form of vigilantism, where mostly white Americans are seen kind of taking justice into their own hands and questioning the right of Black Americans to exist in certain spaces or to engage in certain liberties that they themselves probably take part in quite often. There has been an increased spotlight on white people calling the police on Black people in recent years. Some of you all may recall seeing some of these stories in the news or across your social media pages where Black people have had the police call to them for things like sitting in Starbucks. Some of you all probably remember that the Starbucks employee that called the police on 2 Black men for sitting in Starbucks without buying anything, even though everybody does that, and the person that they were there to meet actually showed up mid-arrest. Selling water in a park. A white woman called the police on an 8-year-old Black girl for selling water without a permit. Vacationing. A group of Black people were accosted by police after checking out of their Airbnb because somebody thought that they were burglars. Golfing too slowly. Yes, you heard me correctly. A group of 5 Black women had the police called on them because they were not following course guidelines, i.e. they were golfing too slowly. Taking a nap. We can't even sleep, y'all. A white student called the police on a Black graduate student at Yale because that graduate student was taking a nap in the common room of their dorm. Bargain shopping, 2 CVS employees called the police on a Black woman because they thought the coupon she was using was fraudulent. And finally, bird watching in Central Park. Many of us probably remember this story where a Black man had the police call to him because he asked a white woman to put her dog on a leash per the guidelines of that park. She called the cops instead and said she felt unsafe. These are only a tiny fraction of the cases of harassment that we see where Black people have police called on them for really benign and unnecessary reasons. So why is this important? This is important because calling the police on Black people for unnecessary reasons is an example of weaponizing the police against Black Americans. So why is that? Due to persistent stereotypes of Black criminality, as well as a policing system that has consistently been unequal and unjust for Black Americans, calling the police on Black people can actually end up creating an even more dangerous situation for them that could result in serious injury and possibly even their death. Black people are killed at higher rates by the police than any other racial group, and Black men in particular are nearly 3 times as likely to be killed by police than white men. Now, even when death doesn't occur, Black people still experience much higher rates of police violence, like the use of excessive force, than other groups. Now, setting aside the obvious and serious potential for physical harm that Black Americans could experience if the police are called on them unnecessarily, there are also other concerns that we could think about. For instance, there's time, money, and resources that must be spent when dealing with the criminal justice system. Now, depending on what happens after police are called, there may be court dates to attend and legal fees that need to be paid, and all this could lead to possible loss of income or even loss of job. Now, as you can see, this is a very serious issue with far-reaching implications. Now, before I close out this particular mini lecture, I'd like to offer up just a few suggestions for people who may find themselves in a situation where they think to themselves, should I call the police on this Black person? First, ask yourself, is my life in clear, actual mortal danger? The answer to this will almost always be no. If you can walk away, your life is not in danger. Right? Do not call the police. Second, ask yourself, if a little blonde white girl named Jane was engaging in this behavior or this activity, would I call the police on her? Probably not. Do not call the police. Finally, ask yourself, when I am engaging in this type of behavior or activity, because to be frank, most likely you have, right? Would I expect somebody to call the police on me? Most likely, you're just being a little overcritical in a particular situation. And so again, I will say to you, do not call the police. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. As always, I encourage you to go out and learn some things on your own, do some of your own research, right? Make sure you're educating yourself. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing in more ways than one. Peace.